This video gives you a sense of what a driver goes through when facing a landslide. Unbelievable! A guy heading to Sausalito, California, described how the top of a roughly 3-meter cliff suddenly gave way, shattering into smaller rocks along the way. Watching the video gives you chills. The boulders, each about half a meter around, are massive. The look on the man's face says it all. He has every reason to thank the universe. There's no telling the boulder will lose its balance, plummet down with its mass. It'll gain speed just like a cannonball. This man was heading back home to Taipei after celebrating the Lunar New Year with friends in a nearby town. Well, he'll never forget this New Year break when he had a really close call. We're in the Alps in northern Italy. This incident clearly shows how cautiously one should tread when encroaching upon nature's domain. Builders were reshaping the terrain to start the construction of 2 apartment buildings. At the base of this nearly vertical cliff, thankfully cracks and noise alerted the workers, prompting them to stop and step back. Despite the alarm, no one expected what happened next. A massive slab of rock detached from the cliff face in mere seconds, crashing down onto the construction site and destroying equipment. Look at how effortlessly it broke away from the rock. Clearly, construction safety in this area will need further evaluation. This video is a crucial warning. Never go to areas that have recently experienced geological activity while hiking with this husky Rio. On a mountain trail near his home in Peru, a guy noticed the ground looks unusual, as if something strange had happened here recently. Suddenly, the ground shifted beneath him and he called out to Rio, but the dog didn't make it back in time. A landslide quickly carried Rio hundreds of meters down the slope. It's a terrifying moment when you're unsure what to do. Thankfully, Rio was unhomed by the rocks, branches, and soil, and after a few minutes, he returned to his owner scared but safe. Watching the construction site camera footage, you can't help but question the builder's competence. The supporting wall around the future building's foundation gave way under the soil's pressure, triggering a landslide right onto the construction area, and even took down soil and trees with it. Geologists found the situation so dangerous that nearby homes had to be evacuated. It looks like making the foundation has created major problems for the entire community. Iceland's black beaches are a truly unique spot. The sand and rocks are genuinely black, thanks to volcanic activity. Naturally, this stunning landscape attracts tourists. However, walking here requires caution. The cliffs are unpredictable. Huge rock slides can unexpectedly crash down from above into the chilly Atlantic waters. 2 groups of tourists had to scramble to safety, thanking their lucky stars that the falling rocks didn't come their way. Travelers in Switzerland managed to capture spectacular moments on video, but a massive rock slide tumbled down onto a place alive. yet another endless transformation, shaping our planets. 3-1. No, this isn't a scene from a sci-fi movie, but a real natural event. A startling event took place in La Paz. Bolivia's largest city, La Paz itself is remarkable. It's located in the crater of a dormant volcano and stands as the world's pious capital. It was once a landfill, and later became an area with unplanned developments, including the construction of 5-story buildings. Unfortunately, proper geological surveys weren't done before the building began. Residents first noticed houses shifting, and then this terrifying landslide began, engulfing their neighborhood. People had to be evacuated, with 66 houses buried under the earth. Okay, buddy. On this day, to drivers in Himachal Pradesh were making their way through a downpour on a flooded road when a huge landslide happened right before their eyes. Had they been moving faster, they would have been buried under it. Luckily, the driver in front noticed the danger again to reverse. It'll be smart to thoroughly inspect similar areas. After this incident, why you can't help but envy the bravery these workers. Chances are they're standing so near to the landslide because they've dealt with similar situations before. Road collapses are a constant problem in India. People living near mountains still with landslides on a regular basis. In this video from northern India, where the majestic Himalayas rise, another landslide forces people to run, dodging the rocks and trees hurtling down. Sudden rockfalls pose a constant threat to climbers. Chunks of rock in various sizes are hurtfully dangerous. Speeds bouncing unpredictably off cliffs is a real challenge. For climbers, quick reactions and better luck are often the only things that save them. One of the most powerful landslides ever caught on video happened in the mountains, Yemen. Check out as a massive heap of rocks collapses onto a road, scaring people fleeing in fear. Luckily, this was a second landslide, and locals were alert and no one was hurt. I got Watching ice carbon glaciers is one of the most spectacular natural shows on the planet. Every year, over 12,000 icebergs of various sizes break off from Greenland's glaciers alone. Well, it's a mesmerizing sight. Watching it demands caution, especially with large icebergs. When this happens, it creates strong waves on the surface, and ice fragments can unexpectedly surface in unpredictable places. Everyone knows about the Alps, but have you heard of the Southern Alps? Hint, they're in the Southern Hemisphere too. This mountain ranges in New Zealand, and the Rockfall you're seeing was captured right there. It's more than just a rockfall. It looks like a whole mountainside is collapsing. Sometimes a small shift sets off a chain reaction, moving massive amounts of rock. It's just amazing how this rock has been still for thousands of years. This is known as a mudflow, a typical story for mountain rivers, such as this small stream in Switzerland. MUD flows usually happen in spring or summer when snow melts, or there are consecutive days of heavy rain. Such a stream of water, mixed with up to 75% of rock fragments, at an average speed of 5 meters per second. Due to its velocity and mass, this phenomenon carries enormous destructive energy, and history has seen many tragedies where mud flows wiped out entire towns. Thus, if the flow stays within its channel, like in this case, everything is fine. In some parts of the world, dealing with the quirks of mountains is as common as dealing with the weather. Almost daylight. Plans can change due to yet another landslide. This is the everyday reality for residents of the aptly named mountain province. In the Philippines, they find themselves stuck in traffic jams caused by landslides, watching as the collapse blocks their only route, a winding road around the gorge. This almost sheer cliff has been shaped over centuries by weathering temperature fluctuations, rain, and underground water. Dutch mountains are always incredibly scenic, especially when adorned with tropical vegetation, like in this Nepalese village. However, they are unpredictable. In this video, the latest monsoon season pushed the mountain's patience to its limit, crashed down into the river, sending water fountains splashing it, disrupting its usual flow. These clashes of the elements always look amazing happening. In snowy mountain regions, spring is the most dangerous time due to frequent avalanches. Warmed by the sun, snow and ice become heavy and wet, swiftly cascading down slopes, sweeping everything apart. Brave climbers capture this classic spring avalanche in the French Alps on video. Mixing with a stream, it ends its rapid descent at the bottom of the valley. The explosion of water droplets instantly creates a rainbow of breathtaking sights. The trajectory of a landslide depends on many factors and is nearly impossible to predict. It almost seems at times like there's a malevolent force guiding it. Just witness how the dust wave from the landslide engulfs the bell tower of the old church, like a tsunami, yet remarkably. The large debris that could have ruined this Italian architectural gem? Landslides can sometimes look like scenes from an apocalyptic movie. There's something hypnotic about mountains and hills, which are meant to be solid and stable, suddenly starting to slide and destroy everything around them. That's exactly the impression you get from this landslide. In Colombia, luckily, it only caused material damage. It's true that land slides, but they happen far from human settlements, and buildings out in nature have a unique beauty to them. Take this landslide in the jungles of India, looking almost like a grand waterfall. Tropical storms often lead to geological threats and can escalate into crisis situations within minutes. On that day in Malaysia, tourists captured the moment when a wide mudslide quickly blocked. Often the best way to avoid future risks is a controlled blast that triggers a control collapse. Check out the well-planned operation by geologists and demolition experts in Norway to protect port, elevator workers from potential threats. Of course, it's impossible to predict the trajectory of every fragment with absolute certainty, but in this case, they ensure the rockfall happened only after evacuating. A fascinating video, a rock slide on a forested shore, filmed for a passing boat. This video was taken in Chile, a small town on the Pacific Ocean coast. This guy looks like he's in control, but the truth is, you can never predict the size of a landslide. His strategy isn't exactly reliable either. Evacuating to a safe distance of waiting out the active phase is the best choice for road workers. Human error isn't a common cause of rock slides, but it can happen in this case. It seems that just a simple touch was enough to bring down a rock that had been standing there since the Ice Age. It's gone. Apparently, it was already hanging by a thread, and these guys made the climbing safer. Tourists at the Argentia ski resort at the French Alps were lucky enough to film an awe-inspiring event. Sometimes a rock slide joins forces with an avalanche. It's a disaster duo just like Godzilla and King Kong. Oh my God! However, one could expect something like this from this mountain. After all, this is Mount Rainier, the highest peak at the Cascade Range, and one of the main volcanoes in the USA. It last showed volcanic activity about 100 years ago, so it could awaken at any moment. Mount Rainier, like other stratovolcanoes, has a steep, lofty profile and is crowned by 40 glaciers, spanning almost 100 square kilometers at its peak. Makes climbing extremely difficult, with constant risks of dangerous avalanches. And Rockfalls, the rock slide captured in these images, is the biggest landslide we've seen in years. It was so intense that even seismographs picked it up. This time a 15-meter slide from the Nisqually Glacier covered several kilometers. Experts explain that the volcano's actually contributes to these landslides. The magma warms water and gases, which loosens the rock of the slopes. Rockfalls pose a constant threat to logistics in the mountainous regions. Often, only one road passes through a gorge or over a pass,